Translation: He is the supersoul of all living entities. He maintains this material world, and He is its Lord. Please repeat. He is the supersoul of all living entities. He maintains this material world, and He is its Lord. Actually, there's one verse that wasn't read last week, the one previous to this. So I'll just read that. Taha kshirodhadi madhye sheta dvipanam palayita Vishnu tara seini jadam. Translation: There, in part of the ocean of milk, lies Shweta Dvip, the abode of the sustainer, Lord Vishnu. Purport: In the Siddhanta Shiromani, an astrological text, the different oceans are described as follows. 1. The ocean of salt. 2. The ocean of milk. 3. The ocean of curd. Curd is a way of saying yogurt. Sometimes it's taken as cheese, paneer, but in this case it's yogurt. 4. The ocean of clarified butter, which is ghee. 5. The ocean of sugarcane juice. 6. The ocean of liquor. And 7. The ocean of sweet water. On the southern side of the ocean of salt is the ocean of milk, where Lord Kshirodakshai Vishnu resides. He is worshipped there by demigods like Brahma. So that was the purport to the previous verse. Now purport to today's verse. The Laghu Bhagavat Amrita gives the following description of the Vishnu Loka within this universe. Quoted from the Vishnu Dharmottara. Quote, Above Rudra Loka, the planet of Lord Shiva, is the planet called Vishnu Loka, 400,000 miles in circumference, which is inaccessible for any mortal living being. Above that, Vishnu Loka, and east of the Sumeru hill, is a golden island called Mahavishnu Loka in the ocean of salt. Lord Brahma and other demigods sometimes go there to meet Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu lies there with the goddess of fortune, and it is said that during the 4 months of the rainy season, he enjoys sleeping on that Sheshanag bed. East of Sumeru is the ocean of milk, in which there is a white city on a white island, where the Lord can be seen sitting with his consort Lakshmiji on a throne of Shesha. That feature of Vishnu also enjoys sleeping during the 4 months of the rainy season. The Shweta Dvip in the Milk Ocean is situated just south of the Ocean of Salt. It is calculated that the area of Shweta Dvip is 200,000 square miles. This transcendently beautiful island is decorated with desire trees to please Lord Vishnu and his consort. End quote. There are references to Shweta Dvip in the Brahmanda Purana, Vishnu Purana, Mahabharata, and Padma Purana. And there is the following reference in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 15, text 18. Shweta Dvipatau Chittam Shuddhe Dharma Maye Mayi Dharayan Chetatam Yati Shad Urmi Rahito Naraha. My dear Uddhava, you may know that my transcendental form of Vishnu in Shwetadvip is identical with me in divinity. Anyone who places this Lord of Shwetadvip within his heart can surpass the pangs of the 6 material tribulations: hunger, thirst, birth, death, lamentation, and illusion. Thus, one can attain his original transcendental form. Can I ask somebody to give me the Bhagavad Gita, please? From the... Thank you. Sakala jiverati ho hai antaryami jagata palakati ho jagatera swami. He is the supersoul of all living entities. He maintains this material world and he is its Lord. We live in a time when we're very confident of our understanding of this universe. Where you could say we're very proud, but at least we're very confident. And we don't have this element of doubt that what we see is a very expansive universe with many, many suns that appear to us as stars. This is a very pervasive idea today that is how it is. Every star is a sun. And by all accounts, our sun is a very small sun compared to the many bright stars that we see in the night sky. This is how we take it as granted that that's how it is. We don't really doubt. And then we come across Vedic idea of the universe, which says that there are 7 different oceans. See, first of all, we take it that you can't have any other kind of ocean other than a salt ocean, because it would, if it wasn't salty, the water would become stagnant. You've seen a pond of water, if fresh water, if it has no redeeming quality like salt inside it, it starts to become stagnant. So the perception is that this is how it is. There is no other way. So it stretches our belief when we read these Vedic statements. And then we hear that there are only so many miles apart from each other, these planets, with their different oceans. And, clarified butter ocean of milk. You have milk, it doesn't stay for longer than a day or two if it's not refrigerated. If it's not pasteurized, even more difficulty. So this is our mind. Our mind it has already accepted this idea that the world is this universe is full of many, many suns. We take it as gospel. There is no doubt. There is no doubt about it. So it challenges us, shall we say, our faith when we read these statements. And they're not speaking of the spiritual. They're referring to what we perceive with our eyes. They're not referring to something that's unmanifest. So we wonder if they are correct or not. And therefore ensues this idea, well, this is fables and mythology. Right? This is how this kind of come about. The student of Vedic knowledge will be well advised to start from the ABC in order to understand this. What's the ABC? In the Bhagavad Gita, you're not the body. You're not the body. Right? It's good if you get in participation mode. You're the soul within the body. Now, is the soul located 10 feet away from the body or inside the body? Inside. And the body is roughly how big? About 6 feet high and about 2 feet in diameter, or 3 feet. So you've got a measurement taking place now, right? 6 feet, 3 feet, cylinder. Inside there is this spirit soul. So we try to fix the position of the spirit soul. It says it's in the region of the heart. It's in the region of the heart. Not in the region of the leg, the finger, the nose, but the heart. So then we look at the heart, but we don't find the soul. So here we understand, well, is parashakti. It's the Krishna has two kinds of energies, the apara and the para, the material and the spiritual. And the spiritual cannot be perceived, even if it's in front of you, unless you are spiritually qualified. You cannot perceive it. But its presence can be felt. In other words, it's taking a geographical location, and yet you cannot locate it. Do you follow this drift? It's not 10 feet away. It's very specifically mentioned, it's in the region of the heart. If you should change the heart, you do not change the soul. You simply change the seat of the heart. But the soul, while it's there, it animates this body, gives it consciousness. So here we are understanding some qualities of the spirit soul, that whilst it cannot be perceived, it can take a physical location in this three-dimensional space. X, Y, Z axis. It can be located. And it's not located somewhere else. It's located quite specifically within this 6 foot high, 3 foot diameter kind of body, at a very specific location. So we go back here. Above Rudra Loka, the planet of Lord Shiva, is the planet called Vishnu Loka, 400,000 miles in circumference. So we're searching for this planet in the sky that has a 400,000 mile circumference. And we're seeking to find the planet of the Lord and the Lord who resides on the planet. We try to corroborate our empirical experience, what we experience with our eyes, what we can understand with what we hear. And again we come to this that is incongruous. It don't seem to match. There's not a one-to-one relationship. This is tick, tick, tick. Yes, we found Shvetadweep. There's Rudraloka. There's Indraloka. It doesn't seem to corroborate. Because it's like the understanding of the soul within the body. It has a location in the universe, but we cannot perceive it. In fact, it is the cause of what we experience. Just like the soul is the cause of this body. If the soul goes away, the body simply disintegrates. It ceases to be a body. So the manifestation of this universe is because it's animated. It's taking on its orbits, its shapes, all the planets, because they're inhabited by these different personalities. The personality of Godhead Himself and all His expansions. Either His personal expansions or His separated parts and parcels. They animate this entire universe, all its different aspects. Now we should go back to this idea of what I perceive with my eyes. Most of you must have seen a fishbowl, right? An aquarium in the shape of a fishbowl. It's spherical. And, any of you who have these glasses, and if you see through glasses which are very thick, the view you see through the glass is very distorted, right? Shishi Radha Gokulananda Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Shishi Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. So this, even by our own understanding, this earth has a optical layer through which everything gets distorted. This atmosphere, we call it, up to the stratosphere. It's like a fishbowl layer. We're cocooned, this earth is cocooned by this atmosphere. So when you see through a fishbowl, the fish sees through the fishbowl. The bowl itself is distorting what it perceives. Right? It's not as we perceive it outside the fishbowl. So what we're unable to, we cannot easily compensate for our distortion. Our eyes do not have that ability to compensate. So we're making all these theories and all these ideas about the universe we live in, which we cannot properly perceive. It's like the fish making a thesis in physics, This universe, there are funny movements of aliens around. Because shadows, it'll see shadows. And he gets a big PhD. Well done. Nobel Prize. So this is our world. This is our life. We are extremely limited by the instruments we have, our own instruments, the eyes, which we already know have so many limitations. They cannot see certain light, certain wavelengths that are there, but they cannot perceive. And yet we put so much stock by them. We attach so much value to their perception. We make all these theories which then do not corroborate with these statements from Vedic literature. So the Vedic literature, they give us information that is not from the point of view of the fish in the bowl. They don't give information from our perspective, our distorted perspective. Moreover, over and above this, even if you were able to have an undistorted view of the universe, you'll still not be able to see Shvetadvip and the Lord who resides there. Just like, even though you know where the location of the soul is, you still cannot see it. Now, before we go to the soul, there are one or two other layers of reality we do not see in between the body and the soul. The mind, the intelligence, the ego. We do not see any of these. Yet they're also there. So this universe is composed of Vyakta and Avyakta, both things that are perceivable and things which are beyond our perception. And yet they exist. And yet they have measurement. They have yojanas, 400,000 miles, this, 200,000 miles that, east of Sumeru, west of Sumeru, this ocean, that, yet none of it is perceivable. Even the dimension of this entire universe is given, its length and its breadth. How many billion miles this way and that way it is. And yet we find the story of Lord Brahma when he first became aware of his existence on the lotus. He found he's sitting on a lotus. And the lotus had a stalk which was going down. Not knowing anything else, he wanted to find the source of the stem. Where does it come from? And we know the story is that he went down and kept going down at the speed of the mind, not some slow speed. And he kept on going for many thousands of years as measured by the time of the demigods. Yet he could not find the bottom of the stem. Although the dimensions of the entire universe are given, right? You have the universe, so many billion miles diameter, half of it's filled with water. On that water is Sheshanag. On Sheshanag is Lord Vishnu. From his navel sprouts his lotus. So the lotus, however high it is within this limit of this so many billion miles radius of the universe. Brahma could not find the end of it. You see now, so whilst it may be stated so many miles, so big, so wide, so tall, it doesn't mean we can go with our ruler and corroborate that, to verify that, oh, this is right. Maybe off by 1 inch, but it's correct. You'll not be able to do it. So it's interesting, going back to the soul within the body. The measurement of the soul is also given, right? Which is 1/10,000 part of the tip of a hair. So you can't verify the thing which is right here. Within this body, you cannot verify its length and its breadth. But it is given. So in this connection, I wanted to read 1 or 2 statements by Srila Prabhupada, which are very interesting. See, Srila Prabhupada, there's one amazing quality about His Divine Grace, that if you study his books, his purports, sometimes we act as if Srila Prabhupada knew like this. We act surprised. Just like, his conviction that nobody's gone to the moon. Undoubting conviction. His certainty. And then his certainty on the points that there is no such thing as chemical evolution, biological evolution from one species to the next. And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. And you wonder, and there are many more things Srila Prabhupada says, and you wonder whether they were just said in an unconnected fashion. I'll show you how unconnected or not they are. And so Srila Prabhupada has mentioned all these dimensions, and then here are some of his purports in which he expresses more of this, his understanding of Vedic knowledge. It's not just profound or deep. It's actually quite amazing. So I just want to share what it is. And then sometimes I happen to know Srila Prabhupada wrote many of his purports consulting many tikkas, commentaries by previous acharyas. So he took the essence of all the teachers and made his purports. And then sometimes you think, well, it's in that particular purport and nowhere else. And then surprise, you hear him in a morning walk conversation. He refers to these verses. Means just like that. There's no book from which he is pulling out these quotes. So we have to overcome our skepticism. The skepticism is there because we're a product of the education that's available outside. And it's drummed it into us, so many things, which we keep on then finding difficulty. So this is a purport to chapter 10, text 8, which is, the verse itself is relevant to what we're discussing. Because we're discussing how this material universe is composed. And how everything is situated. And how it's being maintained by Lord Vishnu, who is an expansion of Lord Nityananda. This is what the whole chapter is about. The glories of Lord Nityananda. So in this purport, the verse is Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of all spiritual material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. So Srila Prabhupada writes, a learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya and who knows how to apply these teachings can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. See, the whole effort is in this particular chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita to tell us how the Lord is the origin of everything, material and spiritual. It's not just a dogmatic statement. It actually elaborates to us exactly how he is the origin. In what way? In every particular, in every detail. And ideally, the good scientist who is guided by these teachings of the Vedas, if he ponders, he becomes Krishna conscious. If you analyze, if you view this world from the perspective of the Vedic knowledge, the effect will be you'll become Krishna conscious. You'll be amazed. And the first thing that goes away with this knowledge is your atheism. This idea that there is no God. That's the first ignorance that is dispelled. And we suffer from that greatly, actually, from atheism. We're always thinking, I have to decide what I have to do in my life. We forget. I am inhabiting a world which is a creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we become, when we are in ignorance of that, we become self-centered. You think, okay, John, what am I going to do today? It's always about me. What I'm going to do. I don't know. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna, he thought, I'm not going to fight. He's too conscious of him and what he likes. No, I don't like to kill them. I don't want a kingdom without my friends. I, me, my. That's the result of not knowing that Krishna is the source, is the origin of all the world, spiritual and material. Whereas if you're conscious of Krishna, then the question becomes, what does Krishna want me to do? So it changes. The color, your questions, everything changes. On this, depending whether or not you're conscious of this knowledge here. So Srila Prabhupada says, all the Vedic literatures agree that Krishna is the source of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. So here, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he also delineates from various quotation references from the Vedic scripture how Krishna is the source of different personalities and of different abodes, planets, these stars that we see in the night sky. But again, you see, you have to go back to this point that he inhabits our own body. The Lord inhabits. Not only the soul inhabits, the Lord inhabits. In fact, his measurement is also given. You know, the soul's measurement is 1/10,000th part of a tip of a hair. The Lord's measurement is also given. Angushta matram. The measurement of your thumb. He's also in the heart. in this physical frame, the one that we can measure with our ruler. And his measurement is given in a way that's ruler measurement. And yet he cannot be perceived. we find, you cut up the body and you cannot find this individual, this personality, neither ourselves nor him. And yet they're there. So we have to understand that my only basis is to have it revealed to me by authority. That's my only recourse to knowledge. I have no independent access. We have to give it up. This pride we have in our theories, which are actually very mistaken. We have ample evidence from our own experience how a rat in a laboratory cannot understand what's going on. A fish in a bowl cannot understand. And yet, we have the arrogance to think that I understand, even though I am in the fishbowl of this atmosphere that surrounds the earth. I cannot explain how it is that this body dies when this particular living entity that I never saw, I could never perceive, I could never measure, leaves. Why it dies? Cannot understand. Therefore, our best hope to understand is to simply hear. But to hear not with some kind of cynicism or skepticism or disbelief, but to hear with shushrusho shraddha dhanasya, accepting it as truth. That what I'm hearing from Scripture, which is unaltered, is the absolute truth. It's our only recourse. We have no other recourse. My attempt from all these quotations which I wanted to share with you is to simply emphasize this one point, that we have no independent recourse to arriving at what is the truth. By our own efforts, it is not possible. It's simply not possible. Give you another example. A blind man, there is no way he can differentiate between different colors. He lacks. They are there. There are different colors. He may be surrounded by them, but he has no independent way of understanding these things. He can only hear from a reliable source, a source that will not cheat him. So when we become, by this hearing, by this reading, either our skepticism will grow or our faith will grow. Your skepticism grows if you keep on thinking, no. My professor in college, he taught me, no, this is not. So you're having faith in him, his speculative ideas, or you're believing and you're understanding, no, this is the same philosophy, the same source that has taught me I'm the soul and not this body. A soul that I cannot touch, I cannot measure, even though it occupies a geographical point in this three-dimensional space. This is called achintya. It's amazing. And yet it's true. It may be amazing, but nonetheless true. So this way your faith actually increases. Not only your faith, but your understanding. Your ability to understand increases. you're actually able to understand the truth. This is the benefit. This is the benefit of getting it right. See, now your faith is not shallow. It's very deep. Now it's not blind faith. Now it's reasoned faith. You have a body of evidence in your mind upon which your faith is based. So with great conviction, you can proceed in your life without doubt. One of the things that Krishna keeps asking Arjuna is, are your doubts removed? The whole problem with spiritual life is when doubts come up. When the doubt enters, Krishna compares it like demon. Doubts are like demons. They have to be killed. You have to kill the doubt. Otherwise, you're putting your spiritual life in jeopardy.